if you're living in Abuja, have you noticed that for the past 2 days or so, the activities of VIO, white and black people, or white and black uniform, their activities has reduced? Have you noticed it? I was shocked too, because when I heard about 3 days ago, or when the news broke that an Abuja High Court bars VIO from stopping vehicles and impounding vehicles and billing people, motorists, I thought initially, okay, fine. My reaction was that this is a fine one, fine judgment, but will VIO obey? And I was particularly impressed that the VIO apparently seemed to have obeyed. I know it may not be the end of it. They probably will go and appeal the judgment, and the matter may go all the way to the Supreme Court. But for now, there's some kind of peace. I don't know if you have noticed in Abuja, particularly with respect to the activities of VIO. In fact, it will appear as though that the road safety has taken over from them with this their arbitrary stopping of vehicles just to bill motorists, not because they are interested in making the road safer. From the way they behave towards residents, you can see the vindictiveness, the wickedness of the operation. I'm talking about the road safety now, not just the VIO. I asked a question earlier. I said, which of them is the most wicked? Whether it is VIO, road safety, whether it is Nigerian police, whether it is these AMAC thugs that they call revenue collectors, the ones that wear, is it red? And then you have the ones that wear blue, the ones that are the FCT revenue people, the AEPB guys. They forget that government is supposed to be acting for the welfare and security and safety of the people. They carry out the activities with the powers that is vested on them by law in such a manner to make life frustrating for people. But that's not even where I'm going with this video. The fact that the court gave judgment and the VIO obeyed, at least for now, and we can experience the respite on most motorists, at least on the part of the VIO, is a good thing. But how did it happen? And what lessons can we take from it? It's important, because if we don't understand how it happened and learn lessons that we need to learn from it, we can have a situation whereby the gains that we have made as residents of Abuja and as citizens of Nigeria, those gains may be eroded over time, particularly if they actually appeal the court judgment or the court order. How did we get it? Somebody actually sued. Somebody sued. It's one lawyer from Falana's chamber, we understand. But somebody actually sued. And this is important for us to note, because the majority of us actually think that the judiciary is corrupt. And I'm not saying it's not corrupt, but we actually think or just assume or conclude that the judiciary is corrupt. And because of that, we give up without actually trying to actually do something. We also assume that the security agencies are corrupt. And because of that, we give up. We forget that there is a power to suits, there is a power to petitions, and there is a power to holding leadership accountable, at least speaking truth to power. There's a power to it. It may not work 100% of the time. It may not work 100% of the time. In fact, it may not work even 90% of the time. But you see, that 10% or 9% or 5% or even 1% of the time that it works, the gains are humongous. The gains are Huge. And that is one takeaway I want us to have from this. Let us not just sit back and allow the corruption in the system to continue. Let us give it a try, even if it is to write petition. Write petition. Even if it is to make freedom of information request, do it. If it is to do suits, do it. There are still judges in the judiciary, no matter how corrupt they are, that are human beings that will give correct judgment. It may be small percentage of them, but they are still there. But you see, the problem is, if we do not sue, if we do not write petitions, those few security agents, those few judges in the judiciary may not have the opportunity to act in the interest of the whole. So I beg, as you enjoy the respite from the barring of VIO, don't forget that the work is not done yet. It's not only VIO that is victimizing people. The same thing with the police. If you look at what has happened in the Rivers local government elections that just took place October 5, you'll discover something, and it ties into this court barring VIO from stopping vehicles in Abuja. It ties into it. There were reports of police officers, or at least people in police uniform, in police Hilux vans, about 21 of them, right, harassing voters from polling units. There were such reports. Now, the reports also included that the police were actually also shooting tear gas to scare away voters that were already scared, running away from their polling units. And in fact, the report also had it that the same people in police uniform, in police vans, carrying guns and shooting tear gas, also harassed officials of the Rivers Independent Electoral Commission, RISIEC, Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission. Their officials harassed them. But you see, the problem is this. It is reports. When the state spokesman of the, is it Commissioner of Police or the Rivers Commissioner of Police was asked, they said that they are not aware of such incidents. Usually, this is how the police will behave. Now, this is where it is important for us to take certain action. The spokesperson said they are not aware. Usually, they will ask for what? For evidence. Now, where are you going to get evidence, video evidence of recordings of police actually carrying out these activities? If you were a voter in a polling unit, you are not aware that the police is coming to carry out such harassment, and they carry it out all of a sudden. They are shooting tear gas. They are shooting into the air. Will you be bold or brave enough to take out your phone to be recording police? Can you do it? Is there any Nigerian that can do it? Is there any Nigerian that when they hear gunshot, twa, 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 they will wait? It's common sense. It is survival instinct. When you hear gunshot, the first thing that comes to any reasonable person's mind is to run for their dear lives. So when these 21 hillocks of people dressed in police uniform did what they did, according to the reports from Rivers State, you would expect that normally people will run. And because people will run, no evidence, if you come to police, they will tell you that, oh, provide evidence. Provide evidence. We are not aware. We are not aware. We are not aware. So it becomes very, very imperative, very important for us as citizens to put measures in place to make sure that whether it is police or real police that are dressed in police uniform, or whether it is fake police, thugs that are dressed in police uniforms and driving police Hilux vans, whatever it is, we must put spy cameras in place. And I have to make this public because even the police and the thugs themselves need to understand that their old tactics are no longer effective, because now we are going to deploy spy cameras. Cameras will not run when people run, when they hear gunshots. Camera will not run. So we can catch these police people red-handed, live in the act. This is the only way we can put a check on the activities. That's the only way. Anything short of that, they will always come and tell you we are not aware. Can you give us evidence? Can you provide evidence? Look at what happened with the VDM case. The VDM case, the National Assembly Joint Committee investigation, when the news first broke out that the National Assembly was inviting VDM, many people were excited, but I wasn't. VDM himself was excited. He did a video about it. Of course, it would give him publicity, but I wasn't excited. And I remember I said then that the investigation is not targeted at getting clarification on what VDM said, because everything that VDM said is already known to whether the Senate or the House of Rep members. It's already known to them. And from what Femi Falana said on Channels TV, he made it clear that, in fact, he himself, as a senior advocate of Nigeria, is also shocked that the Senate or the House of Rep members will now set up a committee to investigate whether that was true, because it was already in existence. In fact, Femi Falana said he has done a case on it before. There was this journalist, Fisayo Shoyombo, that did an expose on it months back. There was a time that some of these senators, particularly Senator Ojus Okalu, was actually sentenced to 12 years imprisonment for corruption. Reports had it then that even the then Senate President, Ahmed Lawan, was in secret visits to, not even himself alone, together with other senators, right? Secret visits to Ojus Okalu. There were such reports. And all of these things, from what we can hear now, from different quarters, from Femi Falana, from the leaked audio from Bobrisky, from other sources, from Fisayo Shoyombo and other things, you find out that it's a normal thing for billionaires and very rich people to be treated differently in the courts. So when they first of all invited Very Dark Man, I knew that the aim and the objective of that investigative panel was not to shed light on the leaked audio of Bobrisky accusing the EFCC and the Nigerian Correctional Services or Nigerian prisons. It was not. From the statements that many of the senators made, many of the House of Rep members made, it is clear now that the reason for that investigative panel was what? To launder the name of the Nigerian Correctional Services and the EFCC. That was all. So you saw them attacking Very Dark Man subtly. Oh, we will detain you. We will arrest you. I can't believe that here because of Bobrisky and Very Dark Man. And Nigerians must note here at this time that it is not because of Very Dark Man or because of Bobrisky. It's not Very Dark Man versus Bobrisky. This has nothing to do with them. It is the corruption in the system. And the point to note here is that we must continue. Many people have been speaking out. Many of us need to join to speak out, to speak truth to power. It pays. It may appear as though it's not paying much now, but we must continue to do it because it pays. And it's not only the EFCC we need to turn our attention on, or the correctional services. Nigerian police is there, the VIO is there, the road safety is there. So many agencies. In fact, the custom is there, Nigerian port authorities is there, NIMASA is there, and the Ogakpatapata of them all. Somebody says it is CBN. I don't think it is CBN. Yes, there are certain levels of corruption that may be going on in the CBN. But if you ask me, the Ogakpatapata of them all is what? The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPC. NNPC. We need to shine our light on the things that are going on in that NNPC. It is a shame that you had the president of the TUC come out to make certain statements. The president of the TUC, Festus Osifo, happens to also be the president of Pengasan. Pengasan is Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association. Pengasan. Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association. So, it falls to reason that if somebody is a senior staff of an association like Pengasan, the person knows a lot or everything about the oil and gas sector in Nigeria. So when Festus Osifo came to make the statements that he made, I felt very, very ashamed, because in that interview or press conference that he granted, there were truths, half-truths, and just plain lies. I did another video to analyze and break down these in details. But key takeaway from that is this. Many Nigerians, including people who are in the oil and gas sector, do not know the operations of the oil and gas sector. At least, that is the assumption I make. Some other persons will say that it's not that they don't know. They probably are getting benefits from the corruption in the system, so it will fall to their own interest, or it is in their own interest not to shed too much light on it. So they probably have motivation as oil and gas workers to come out and just peddle lies, not because they don't know, but because they don't want to stop the benefits they get from shedding light on the activities on the oil and gas sectors. So we as Nigerians must continue to speak truth to power. I did a deep dive on the press conference of Festus Osifo, the TUC president. You can look for that video, it's on this channel. But the takeaway, like I said, whether it is from the recent activities of the Rivers local government election, whether it is from the investigative panel of the National Assembly on the Bobrisky VDM or Very Dark Man matter, and the allegations against the correctional services and the EFCC, whether it is on the activities of our courts, whatever it is, we must continue to speak truth to power. We cannot underestimate the power of freedom of information requests, petitions, and lawsuits. And of course, speaking truth to power, particularly on social media. Mainstream media, I don't have so much hope. But you see, on social media, we cannot afford to keep quiet.